Welcome to the Healing Circle. I'm Christine, founder of Embodied Energy Wellness, a shamanic energy practitioner and soul guide. This is a space for honest conversations about healing, awakening, and the moments that shape us. We all carry a story, and this is a place where those stories can be shared, witnessed, and gently healed, together in community. This isn't about fixing yourself, it's about remembering yourself. Take a deep breath. You're very welcome here. Just a gentle note before we begin, some topics discussed in this episode may touch on trauma, loss, or sensitive life experiences. Please take care of yourself as you listen and engage in a way that feels supportive for you.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. We have Angie all the way from the UK, across the pond, and I know Angie for many years. We met with mutual friends in our party days, and it's funny because we still got connected in the social media, and then we started seeing similarities. Angie, welcome. Tell me everything. What have you been up to?
Pleasure to be here. Isn't it funny how our journeys have been so similar? I mean, even back to what our career paths were before this, we had everything was so
100%.
similar. So, and it's really interesting to watch you and see you on this journey. And I was like, wow, that's what I'm doing. And yeah, it was just amazing. So, yeah, I'm doing
Same
well.
here.
You're really, really well, better than I've ever been actually. And a lot of it is to do
Good.
with all of the stuff that I've been doing. So, which is similar to you, as you know. And we had a little
Yeah.
conversation, didn't we, about work, and it just doesn't feel like work.
I know, and what we're doing now. So our similarity is that we both started in the makeup industry. So we always wanted to kind of help people feel good about themselves.
Yeah. And that care, I also was a beauty therapist, and I went into holistic therapy. And, you know, as you know, when you have clients, they just tell you, and they tell you all their issues, their problems. And from that, I went on to doing my psychotherapy training, which was quite
Yeah.
clinical and didn't really align with my values. And actually on my training, jumping straight in, they call it the divorce course. So it was really good for me in the sense that it opened my eyes to me, who I was as a person, the people around me, without blaming anybody. I had to do a lot of inner work on that course. So it was really, really good, but realised that a lot of people around me weren't aligned. So I have that to thank,
Yeah.
but it wasn't quite enough. You know, the psychotherapy wasn't enough. It wasn't hitting the spot.
Yeah. And it's funny how when we start unraveling ourselves, and we're basically like, so we met party days and
Yes.
we would be having our masks on, you know what I mean? It would be like, yeah, this is me, not really knowing the deep you or me, you know,
No.
but we were still kind of, friends on social media. And then I'm seeing you changing, I'm doing my work, and we're stripping away and shedding the similar friends, mutual friends, your friends, my friends.
Yeah.
And there's a grieving process around that, isn't there?
There's such a big grieving part. It's probably one of the parts, because I do a lot of parts work. I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Schwartz, and it's one of the parts that I've really struggled to let go of, is that identity of party girl, because everybody knew me
Yeah.
as a party girl. I'd come in, I'd be the entertainer, I'd drink too much and take drugs, and it wasn't a good look for me. I'd come home, feel depressed, sad, and feel terrible and think, what did I say? What did I do? And feel shame. And that cycle repeated for many years. And I was a people pleaser. I was going to parties and entertaining and being the silly, funny person. And I was really, really
Yeah.
sad inside. So I didn't want to show that to anybody. And, I masked it for a very, very long time and avoided it. I avoided that part that needed attention.
Yeah, a lot of people do, don't they, in that party scene? It's like
Yeah.
they don't even, when they realize that the friends that they have been partying for so long actually aren't their friends. Like they
No.
don't know them on a deep level.
Yeah. Well, that's my first kind of taste of it, is that I was very much a people collector. I didn't have a solid family base, so I always had really strong friendships. Well, I thought they were. And my friends became what I thought my family were. And they weren't. They were very transient friends. I had a lot of different groups of friends, and I didn't want to be on my own. So I had all these people around me. And when I stopped taking drugs and stopped drinking in 2021, a lot of people that still were didn't want me around them. They felt judged. they thought that I saw a part of them that was exposed. I didn't care what they were doing, but I just knew I needed a change. And from that, they kind of rejected me. You know, one of my really good friends just literally blocked me overnight. And I tried to have a conversation to find out why, and I didn't know. And all of these unseen questions really traumatized me. I was really, really upset. I thought there's something wrong with me. And as you know, when you go on this journey, it just opens up so many emotions, a plethora of emotions, especially when I stopped drinking and taking drugs. It's like everything rose to the surface. But that
Mm.
rejection, that rejection from friendship groups, and then feeling isolated on this journey, like I'm on my own. I don't, who have I got? You know, who have I got around me? But as you know, it's necessary to do this inner healing work, you know, without
There is a
distraction.
sense of the isolation, like you need to be isolated while you're
Yeah,
going through this. And let's call it what it is. It is a spiritual awakening,
it is.
and
Yeah,
it brings up layer, like one part of it is rejection, another part of it is abandonment, another part of it is judgment, another part is shame, guilt, and it's literally like you're going through all the different scenarios that you have been clasping onto and hiding for so many years. So it's like you have to
yeah,
move through every of them, don't you?
yeah. That judgment was one of the things that I really struggled with because, and I'll get onto that in a bit because I've done a lot of work around judgment because of my childhood. But I think when with social media and people noticing that you're not friends with somebody anymore, it's really out there. It's like, what have you done to not be friends with that person? What have
Yeah,
you done? Why don't they speak to you? And it's like I didn't want people to know. It's the same as, you know, for me when I broke up with a relationship, everyone's going to know that we've broken up because it's, you know, as profile pictures change, people delete you, and
yeah,
people pick up on this stuff. And it was the shame around it and the judgment and the, you know, and what will people think of me? And it was really difficult in this day and age to break up with friendships and break up with relationships if you are on social media. And of course, I was in my ego state. So of course I was on social media and I still am, but I was really out there, like, you know, look at me, my life's great. I'm having so much fun when I really wasn't. So
I
yeah,
know.
it
I
was.
can remember all the times you're in Ibiza partying, and I was like, oh my God.
I still do that. Still do that sometimes.
That's okay. The
And then I'll go
80/20
to the
rule, is
drum
that it?
circle. That's the Gemini
Oh,
with Christine.
no.
You know, yeah. But yeah, I did. I was always, you know, look at, you know, if I have everything. But yeah, it's really difficult, that judgment. You're right. It's that, you know, the rejection, the judgment, which is
Yeah.
the difficult part. Yeah.
Another part of me when I was sitting, like, and it's called, like, if any listeners are like, oh my God, like this spiritual awakening sounds horrific, right? It is very tough to walk
Yeah.
the path through a spiritual awakening, particularly when you're
Yeah.
on your own, okay, and you haven't got someone to lean on and you're not really sure what happened. Like, for the first 5 years, I had to sit with myself, and also then COVID was happening at the same time, so that kind of worked in my favor, that I was alone anyway. But I
Yeah.
remember, like, literally tears falling from my eyes. I was I was surrounded by my children. I had my husband there, but I was
Yeah.
so alone in my mind, because all my circles were just falling away. I knew I couldn't be in their company anymore, and then equally they were just rejecting me anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you're holding on, like, for dear life,
Yeah.
but then there's a part of you going, let go. And it's just that struggle, isn't it?
Mm. It's like it's part of a kind of ascension, isn't it? Really, we're traveling and we're vibing on a different frequency as we're doing this work, and we're shedding the layers. And unfortunately, you do have to kind of move forward. So although it's you feel like it's rejection from them, it's something that's necessary to happen for you to keep elevating, you know, to keep going. Because I could have probably quite easily fallen back into that, you know, that real intense drinking and drug scene again, you know, just to be a people pleaser again and get back in. And it probably all happened for a reason. I kept going, and I wouldn't be here doing the work that I'm doing today, you know. And lockdown had a lot to answer for, because that's
Yeah.
when I sat with my thoughts and I thought, what is going on here? And I probably drunk my way through lockdown, to be honest, when I didn't have the kids, because they'd go to their dad's every other week and we'd have parties. Like me and my partner at the time were drinking our way through everything. And then And then, yeah, it just all of a sudden it stopped. And I thought, what was that about? Like sitting with my thoughts, and I thought, I've got to stop drinking. It just was like an epiphany, and I just stopped. Um, yeah, there was a lot of other things that I did to coincide, because obviously stopping drinking and taking drugs. I thought, oh, I'm going to try ayahuasca. What's that all
Mm,
about? And I started to
so
go
did
into
I.
a different route. Yeah, which is
And do you
interesting.
want to tell me what happened at your first ayahuasca
Well,
experience, or?
it was I actually didn't have one of those experiences. I didn't read about it. I didn't learn about it. I literally went in thinking I need help, because I was really struggling with the no drinking. Not that I've drunk a lot, because I was a binge drinker. I wouldn't drink for a month, and I'd go out to a party and drink all night. It wasn't
Yeah.
that I would drink every day, but it was that escapism. And but I just felt like really isolated. I think I was struggling being away from the party scene. I was trying to go out still, but it was like I felt rejected by everyone, because no one wanted me to see them. They're like, I'm the sober one, that you're
Yeah.
watching me. And I felt quite, isolated. So I did ayahuasca, and it wasn't the experience you see on YouTube with people freaking out. I fell asleep. I literally had this I'd done DMT before, but I had this real kind of like Minecraft experience, lots of things and messages coming through. Um, but I free falled through the air. I was like a tiny little dot, and I was terrified of heights before. And I was like absolutely terrified. I got into fetal position, and I was free falling, and then all the kaleidoscopes, seeing people in my life it's funny, on a like a like a luggage belt, leaving,
Yeah.
like, leaving, all the
No.
people
Bye.
leaving, like they're going, where are they going? And then other people coming to me, like my children. Um, yeah, it was really interesting. My ex-partner, but as a friend. So it was like a lot of messages, and then I fell asleep. I had the best sleep ever, and I felt great. But one thing, digressing a little bit, that I will say about plant medicines is that I know a lot of people doing journeys every weekend. They're not doing the integration, and that is what needs to be done if you are going to go down that route. And they're looking
Yeah,
for the
Angie,
yeah.
I've had so many clients that I'm doing one-to-ones with, and particularly around from Europe,
Yes,
like,
yeah,
and they're coming to me for, obviously, for online work, and they are literally going to ayahuasca retreats every week. And I'm
mm,
like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
yeah,
when I went on my first ayahuasca retreat, it was 4 years later until I
yeah,
went to my next one, because I
yeah.
was still new. I was integrating. I wasn't called to do it.
No,
But I've had so many clients that are completely ungrounded. They think doing ayahuasca all the time is further enlightenment, where I'm like, you need to ground, and you're actually, it's where you heal is in the integration. And I know a lot
absolutely.
of people think, oh, well, we have to do plant medicine to be enlightened. Being enlightened is what you do every day.
Let's do something else. Let's do San Pedro. Let's do, and they're always looking for something and not doing the integration. And the answers are not all in the plant medicine. The answers are in the integration. So yeah, I'm
No,
hearing
the answers are in themselves.
in themselves. Well, it's from inside. You need the integration to do the journey within, because that's where the
Yeah,
answers are. Everybody thinks that we're going to give them the answers as facilitators. That's not how it works. The answers are within. So the
no.
integration is really important. And for me, I didn't have integration, but because I'd been in the sort of psychotherapeutic field, I could figure things out. And I saw deities, like I saw Kali May, and I didn't know what
Mm.
the hell that was, like the Hindu goddess. And I was like trying to look her up and research what that was. And of course, the scary being with lots of arms cutting a head off, thinking, is that my ex-husband on the floor? But it wasn't. It was me. It's like working through
Oh
shadows.
God.
So powerful. But I don't feel called to do plant medicines now. I feel like if something comes up, I know how to do the work. I'm sure there'll be something at some point that rocks me to the core again. But I feel at the moment I don't need to do that. So I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
It's not, and I'll wait for the call. I won't just do it,
Yeah. 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 I was
you
called a little
know.
while ago, but I think I was called because a friend was going, and I was like, oh, I should go as well. And then it didn't happen, and I thought, right, that's happened for a reason. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Uh, so I'm doing lots of different things. So mainly I'm a psychotherapeutic counsellor, but I also am a Reiki master teacher. So I'm teaching Reiki and facilitating Reiki. I hold
Hmm.
women's circles in Essex and London, women's healing circles, which are great because I think the power of women together in a
Oh yeah.
coaching and spiritual context is amazing. Sound healing, breath work, us Geminis like to keep busy. We've got lots of different hats, but all aligned. And I've even got tomorrow a reflexology client has messaged me and said, "Can you do reflexology?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." So I'm trying to work with the mind, body, and spirit so that we work
Yeah.
somatically as well. So there's lots of different offerings, and we can kind of put things together. So it's not just the therapy, the sitting down and the talking therapy. There's a bit of everything. And I'm currently on my medicine wheel. So I did my South 2 years ago now, over 2 years. And I've been shedding ever since. I haven't been ready to go into the West, which is Jaguar, but I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm really ready to
If
go.
anyone if anyone wants to understand, the south direction is the snake. So,
Yeah.
it's the final year of the snake. We're coming up to it very soon. And yeah, you've been in it for the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
it's a continuous journey, isn't it? It's
Mm.
never ending.
Never ending. And I think the last shed is the hardest. It's
Yeah.
still going. So yeah, that's what I'm doing for myself at the moment. Like for working with different clients and just seeing what they need very much in the bespoke, like to context of what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so tell me, like, if you've done all the work, you're integrating it, you know,
Yeah.
how does it come up now in your personal life?
Oh, I get triggered, I think, I can't even tell you how many times a day, mostly by my kids who are
Mm.
teenagers. And I used to be very, very reactive. I mean, and this was when I
Yeah.
stopped drinking and taking drugs, actually. I was very, very reactive. I think it was all those emotions coming up. And I think that I'm learning to sort of pause, reflect, and think about things from their perspective, but also having more boundaries. Now I've got a lot more boundaries with my kids and they don't like it. I think, and I've had a lot
Yeah.
more boundaries in friendships, and I've stopped saying yes and started to say no. And I think that's when a lot of people fell away when
Oh, yeah.
seen as
I
selfish.
was only I was only thinking about that this morning, actually.
Mm.
I was thinking of, God, I used to overreact if like one of the kids knocked over a glass of milk on the table. Like it would have
Yeah,
been like, oh my God, do you know?
yeah,
And now these were when they were younger, and I was like, and my one of my boys came in and he turned on the tap, but the tap actually broke off, and he's just like, I don't know what I did, and I just kept laughing. Like I was like, he's just a real gentle giant, and he just like he will just break things. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
when he was a little kid, there was always something that would break around him. And when I was in a reactive mode and triggered and not on my healing journey, it would have been like, oh my God, and panic, and there would be like a scream or a shout, and that wasn't making him feel any good. But
yeah.
like, and it wasn't making me feel good. But
No,
when I started going on my healing journey, like now as a mother, I'm completely changed. Like I've been a mother for 25 years,
wow, yeah,
and to see that journey from a mother of since I was 19 to up to now, but then see the healing journey that I was on as well. Like I'm a completely different mom than I was back
oh,
when I was in my 20s.
yeah. I think there's so much. I think I'm a completely different mum. I'm a completely different friend. I'm a completely different therapist than I was when I
Yeah,
was back then, when I, was so set in these rules of the British Association of Counsellors and Psychotherapists. Now I'm like, no, let's just go with intuition and, work from a
mm,
heart-led space. But it's the same with the kids. Like, I'm working from a heart-led space more. I still can lose my temper, but I try and take it away from the space where I can. And if they do, I give them space. Whereas I used to want to, really, why have you lost your temper? I couldn't emotionally regulate them at all. And I
yeah,
think it all
yeah.
comes, yeah, I was in fight or flight. I was, my sympathetic nervous system was
Oh,
always hit.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But I think a lot of mothers out there, because you think about it, right? We have so much pressure.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
we're inside intrinsically,
yeah,
we are going through our own trauma and we're trying
yeah,
to hold it in and we're wearing our masks and we're not really telling people we need help, okay? Or going on our spiritual journey. Then we're being pulled in every single direction.
Yeah.
you know, from looking after our partners if you have a partner, or even if you're a single mom, like, you know,
Yeah.
you've been a single mom for a while, I've been a single mom for a while. You are officially two people, the parents,
Mm.
and that's pressure alone. And then it's then school, after school activities, then it's your job, your work, then your social life, then it's everything else in between. Then it's
Yeah.
family, you know.
Yeah.
No wonder so many women out there have such dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah. It's
And
really tough. Yeah. No, it's
we
still,
tend to kind of use wine, don't we?
yeah.
Or like we use something as an escape.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. I still love house music, and we met at a concert, didn't we? I love bands, but
Yeah.
I used to do it to escape, to not be a mum for that day, to be chaotic, back in my chaos, and that's where I felt
Oh yeah.
comfortable. I felt comfortable in
Yeah.
the chaos, but the chaos of being a mum is there's so many different responsibilities. You can be a chaotic mum, but you have to have some kind of structure. And when things go wrong, I couldn't cope in my structure,
Yeah.
if things went wrong or, something broke and we were late, I'd be like, oh, my nervous system would just go into
Yeah.
hyper
Completely
vigilant
dysregulated.
state. Yeah, completely. But now I'm just like you said, things happen and the kids go, and I'm like, oh, I'm a lot better. I still have my moments, but I recognize it now, and I'm
Yeah,
accountable.
you see, that's it. You're aware of it.
Yeah, I do. I really try to be accountable. I'm trying to, own when and regulate them and say sorry and explain why. I mean, they're older now, so it's a lot easier. And the same in relationships, being accountable is something that I could never do before. I really struggled with that. I was just in my ego state and I didn't want to feel like a weak person. So yeah, there's a lot. And that judgment again. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't coming back to that single mum. I was a single mum and it was really tough. It was tough. And I kind of went into this escape mode of partying, and then I was trying to be in a relationship and then trying to co-parent with someone who didn't want to co-parent with me, who went against me all the time. So I really, really struggled with that, and then the children turning against me or kind of battling one off against the other. So, and I came from quite a strict, my mum's Irish, my dad's
Yeah.
Portuguese. So it's like really strict Catholic upbringing. And I thought, I'm not strict. I'm not strict. That was strict. And I couldn't understand it. Just boundaries, just having boundaries really set them into their rebellion, my kids. So I struggled a lot with that. And I think that's why, when I didn't have them every other weekend, when they went to dad's, I'd be like, right, party time, let's
Escape.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Escape. And that was like me with my eldest. There was the triangle and
yes,
trying to manage that. And like you
yeah,
said, you know, you're with a new partner and they're taking on two people. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
there is the love there, but there's a lot to take on from their side. And
yeah,
and as a mother, we're trying to overcompensate and
yeah,
trying to make everyone happy, but
yeah,
actually completely dysregulating ourselves. And
yeah.
that in itself is just a chaotic energy for us personally to be in.
Absolutely. A lack of boundaries, they come back from dad's and
Yeah.
I'd be like smothering them with nurturing love. And then it was confusing to them because the next thing I'm like, right, get up, like,
Yeah.
military camp. And they're like, they even said, Mum, are you bipolar? And I'm like, no, just pissed off. And today I'm nice. Today
Yeah.
I'm
They're like,
okay.
what's going on?
Yeah, like, oh. And I came from a very chaotic childhood, and I've been doing a lot of work with my lineage and a lot of
Hmm.
ancestral trauma. My mum's from Northern Ireland, and when you look at, you've done Celtic shamanism, the deities, they're all doom, and when you look at the
Yes.
history of all
Heavy.
of the deities from the north, and it's very heavy energy. And my mum came to London when she was very young. She was like 17 because of the troubles, and then she
Yeah.
had me when she was 19. And now I'm at this age, I completely understand. She was in fight or flight. She had no family around her. She had a very, very difficult time. My dad wasn't the easiest. Then they divorced and she was a single mum in isolation. No wonder she was upset, angry, and depressed, So,
Yeah.
but I saw it from my view as that's not fair. She's not there for me. She only gave what she could
Yeah.
give. So hopefully, the kids, they're getting there. I think they're understanding more, but they'll understand that part of my life, that it was, they
Yeah. You
weren't
see,
supposed to.
I noticed that when I was on my journey, right, that I was seeing similar traits that I learned from my parents,
Yeah,
and I was projecting them. I was actually like default mode going into
yeah,
the same behaviors.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I was like, oh my God, like that's what my mom did. That's what my dad did. And when you're sitting in your shadow during your spiritual awakening and you get that, it is horrible because then you know how they feel.
Yeah, you do. Oh,
But
that
that,
feeling.
oh, it's horrible. And you're like, oh my God, because we're not all perfect. There's no manual out there for parenting. We're all just winging it. Do you know what I
We
mean? And
are.
if we are carrying in this trauma
Yeah,
into parents or parenting style,
yeah.
it's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. And this judgment and lack of, like, this, I know I'm stereotyping here, but my experience of my Irish family is literally judgment. You'd leave the
Yeah.
room,
Oh,
it
come
would
here.
be, and I
Yeah.
always was in fight or flight from a child, really. And then my kids said to me, oh, we don't want, it was what they call her granny, in London we say nanny, but it's granny. They went, oh, granny's always like saying this and she's always telling us off and, telling us we shouldn't be doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh my God, like they're even picking up
Yeah.
on it. And my mum's so good now. She's got a lot better. I think she's doing her own healing work because me doing mine, as you know how ancestral trauma works, it's like, it's kind of catapulted. She's going to have Reiki in Ireland now and she lives in Ireland
Oh,
still. And so it's kind of working. And then also my dad, I didn't speak to my dad for 15 years. He was also, his mum died when he was 2. He had no guidance.
wow.
He was a chaotic. So, it's that understanding and compassion as an adult. It's took me to, I'm 50 now to really do a lot of work and it's still going. But yeah, I think
But
it's
it is
really,
that ripple effect, and I've noticed that with my mom. Like the more I heal, the more she's softening.
yes, yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah. We
And
have
like
to,
so it's like it goes either way along the ancestral lineage. It's like if you're doing the work, you're healing, your children feel that healing, your
yeah,
parents feel that feeling, and it goes back. Like at least in eight
yeah,
generations, you're healing. Like
yeah,
from Irish like heritage, the ancestral trauma is judgment, shame, from
yeah.
Northern Ireland. Like that's
Oh,
not just stopping at your parents,
yeah.
that's going back 8 generations.
I mean, with the troubles, you can imagine the whole family were in fight or flight all the time. And of
Yeah.
course, my mum coming to London at such a young age and she had a big family. She's like one of 10. So, you
Wow.
know, it'd be questionable whether she got that nurturing attention. My grandmother was amazing. She was like amazing woman, but 10 children, one after the other. There's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of competitiveness as well. And, there's a lot of stuff that went on there. But so that kind of fed into the way that she parented me. But yeah, no, it's really, really powerful. This is why I love this work. It's just, it works. I mean, when people don't understand it, I'm like, just try it. And then when
Yeah.
they see, even in the therapeutic setting, I'll give you an example. I do Gestalt theory, and one of the parts is they write a letter to somebody, and this is very spiritual, and they don't send it, they burn it. And quite
Mm,
often, when clients come into the room and they're not spiritual at all, but they'll come in and they'll do it and they'll feel really good. They've released it, they've spoken to me, and then they'll go, "You never guess what? Like something's happened off the back of that letter. Like that person has said sorry. It's almost like the
yeah.
unspoken channel." And I'm like, and I'm going, yeah, I know why, but they don't
Yeah.
understand that. But there's so much power in this. So yeah, I know it
Yeah,
works.
because
It's worked for me.
we're we're all connected, you see.
Yeah,
Like we are on a collective level. We feel everyone. We are all one,
we are.
and if we are ready to release somebody or forgive someone, we're actually it's a interconnection of the collective and an individual basis.
Yeah,
So you're freeing, like I was having a discussion with a client last night about forgiveness, and they weren't really up for forgiving. But the way I was saying was like it's actually you're holding on to the energy because you're not forgiving. And it's
yeah,
forgiving's not about forgetting, it's about releasing you from the energy that person who done wrong on you holds off you.
yeah,
Because the
yeah,
more you say, "Do you know what? Send your blessings. I'm actually forgiving you for this transaction because
yeah.
I want to free myself from it because I'm the one it literally stewing in that energy all the time with that hatred."
Yeah. It's like, you probably do yourself cutting cords. It's just cutting that
Yeah,
cord, isn't it? Letting it go, showing them love and compassion, as hard as that is. Because resentment, is that old saying, isn't it? Resentment's like drinking poison and waiting for the other
yeah,
person to die. It's only going to impact you. And going back to friendships, I send them love. I've got nothing. I don't care like anymore about having them in my life now. And people, there's even family connections, people that I don't speak to, because my boundaries are so high and I understand them, but I'm not willing to engage with them now either, because it doesn't serve me. So it's really having those strong boundaries, but no resentment or no hatred.
yeah,
Just send them love, forgiveness, understand why they are, toxic or behaving in such a way, because they've got their own stuff that they haven't dealt with, and let it go. Yeah, it's
yeah,
powerful
exactly.
medicine. Powerful.
Before we finish up, is there
Yes.
anything you want our listeners to know?
Um, Not really. I've really enjoyed this, Christine. I need to get over
Told you would.
Christine's full moon circles. That day when I came down was just absolutely amazing. When we
Oh,
reconnected, and that was one of the highlights. And I will be down. But no, thank you for having me. But yeah, like if anybody's on the healing journey, it's not a easy path, but necessary one. And yeah, remove those layers, start the shed.
yes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And Angie came all the way from Essex to join us on the full moon healing circle on
Yeah.
Pliny Beach. So it was
Oh,
amazing to see it that night. It was
beautiful.
like, oh my God, there you
I
are.
know. And I was like, this is what I love. I love this. And then listening to your directions as well led me
Oh
to go
yeah.
into Ireland to do some Celtic shamanism. So,
No way.
the salmon, yeah, because it's different to the Andean, and I really resonated with it. So, and working with the drum, and yes, it's beautiful work that you're doing.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's lovely.
oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you
then.
so much. And
Pleasure.
yeah, well, I'll see you again, Angie. We'll be
See you
watching. If
soon.
anyone wants to follow Angie, do you want to just give your
Yeah,
details to any listeners that are in UK?
I'm on Nurture Wellbeing on Instagram, and Nurture Wellbeing, or was it Nurture Wellbeing Services? I keep changing, but yeah, it's one of those two. You can follow me on Instagram and just look up Nurture Wellbeing on Google, and you can find me on there.
Brilliant. Thanks so
All
much,
right.
Angie.
Take care. Bye, Christine.
Thank you for being part of the Healing Circle today. If something in this conversation touched you, let it land gently. You don't need to rush to understand it. Your body already knows. Remember, your story matters, and when it's shared in the right space, it has the power to heal, not just you, but others too. If you feel called to explore this work more deeply, you'll find links to my sessions, retreats, and offerings through Embodied Energy Wellness in the show notes. Until we meet again, go gently, stay connected, and trust the wisdom within you. Thank you for being here.